Warning! This review contains spoilers and some mature content. You have been warned. Hello everyone and Happy New Year! Welcome back to Sluglady Sketch-log, also known as Sluglady Reviews, also known as seems to happen only once a year. Hopefully you'll be seeing more reviews from me this year. But right now isn't about this year. It's about last year, 2017. And boy, what a friggin' year it's been. Heck, we're barely a few weeks in and things have been not great. But I'll save that for a different video. Now I know this time of year is when reviewers talk about their top 10 best and worst whatevers, but that's never been my thing. I'm not a fan of putting things on a scale, plus I've kind of been out of the loop this year. So instead, this year's list is dedicated to all the things I wanted to review this year, but didn't get to. Yep, it's time to play catch-up. Movies and TV shows. Okay, KO, let's be heroes. This show is just fun. KO lives in a world where almost everyone has superpowers. Ha! Take that, Syndrome. KO wants to have superpowers and become a superhero like his mom used to be. So much so that he gets a job at a superhero convenience store and helps protect the plaza from the evil Lord Boxman who builds robot armies for supervillains. This is a very silly show. A very silly show by the team that worked on Steven Universe and a bunch of other hit shows on Cartoon Network. And you can definitely tell it's made for kids. But it's cute, and it cheers me up, and it pokes fun at a lot of superhero tropes. Also, not only does it have gay characters and single parents, but it has gay supervillain single dads. Okay, so being gay hasn't actually been said outright, but seriously, no one looks at a man's abs like that and cannot be attracted to them. Extra points that the abs in question belong to a very out-of-shape man with no self-esteem and no friends. I love this show so much. Future writers, take note. Shark Week 2017. Okay, I've been waiting half a year to talk about this. First up, Discovery Channel, good friggin' job. You made a Shark Week with a hook, no pun intended, that didn't actually end up being a fake out. The Phillips vs. Great White show actually applied real science and went into how several sharks, including the great white, move and build up speed in the water. It was actually entertaining to watch. Pretty much all the specials this year were focused on one thing: conserving and protecting sharks. Sharks in LA was about techniques to move sharks safely away from the LA shoreline. Many series, such as Alien Sharks, focused on tagging and collecting data on shark species that have never been tagged before, so scientists can study their mating and migration patterns. We even got the very first hammerhead shark ultrasound. Not to mention we got some good flashbacks from last year's specials, where one scientist helped a sawfish give birth. But my personal favorite is Return to the Isle of Jaws. In this special, the team in charge was trying to figure out why a purely male population of great whites hang out around one island. The reason this is so weird is because great whites are very solitary, and even if they are moving in groups, there is always at least one female. But here we have an entire male population that isn't fighting over territory. And the answer? They might all be brothers. Not only did many sharks share the exact same markings, which is extremely rare, they were also swimming in sync. Heck, a third one came over and started swimming in sync with the other two. I'm excited to see the team come back next year once they get permission to take blood samples from the sharks in order to confirm their theory. Honestly, I tip my hat to you, Discovery Channel. Please keep it up. I much prefer the science over the gimmicks. My Little Pony, the movie. It was good. I like the style. I like parts of the show. I can see how this would make a good introduction to new kids to watch the show. But for fans of the series, like me, I can kind of understand how some parts might have felt underwhelming. I mean, after you see a pastel pony do this... Characters like the Storm King really aren't that interesting a villain. Heck, the recent season finale had more oomph than most of the movie. So what did I like? Well, I liked the art style a lot. I know a lot of people didn't, but I thought it was a really good mesh of 3D and 2D. The humor and the personalities of the main six were on point. And I also really enjoyed the introduction to new areas of the world outside of Equestria. We got the sky pirates, the hippogriffs, and the sea ponies. Shoo-be-doo, shoop-shoop-be-doo. I'm sorry. I have, no idea where that came from. And of course, who can forget Tempest's Shadow, the real reason to watch this movie. Her personality and, heck, even her entire character design literally breaks the mold of what we usually see from both mares and stallions in the show, and even from other redeemed villains. She's just plain old awesome. Also, Hasbro, Tempest is literally your fourth character with a disability in the entire series. Put her in the show already. Thor Ragnarok. It was fun. Honestly, there's not much else I can say here. I haven't had much interest in Marvel movies lately, but Thor Ragnarok was just a romping good time. Though I do wish we got to see more of Hela actually do something instead of just sitting on the throne for most of the movie. Wonder Woman. Holy crap. Just holy crap. This is the Wonder Woman I've been waiting for. Everything from the choreography to the dialogue to the effects was awesome. The villains were awesome. The references were awesome. Even Ares was awesome. Well, until they put him in the classic armor but didn't change his face. But besides that, this movie was amazing. Movie of the year, right here, people. Sure, there were things that weren't perfect or didn't make much sense when you actually thought about it. Like how a tiny boat got to London overnight. Seriously, you couldn't have just said it was a magic boat or something? But anything I could say would just be little nitpicks. Like complaining there's a cherry on top of your strawberry cake. Justice League. Booyah! It's about time, too. After seeing the amazing Wonder Woman movie, I was actually getting pumped for the Justice League. And with a gift card in my pocket, I treated myself to the full D-Box experience. To those that don't know, D-Box are special seats that move to the action of the movie. Kind of like what you would find at the 3D rides in Disneyland or Universal Studios. And honestly, all the characters we meet for even a few moments, like Mera and seeing a Green Lantern, made me really happy. There's just enough to make you excited for the individual movies coming out with these characters. And finally, it feels like they got the tone right. It's still dark, but it's not the depressing dark from Man of Steel or Batman v Superman. The movie does have some pacing problems, but it definitely knows when to lighten the mood with a joke or make us very, very afraid. And with so much oversaturation of individual superhero movies and so much infighting going on in those superhero movies, it was refreshing to see a whole super team work together for a change. Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I love The Last Jedi, and there's a lot to talk about, but I'll sum it up the best I can. Number 1, Leia using the Force in space was awesome. I don't care if it's not exactly how the other movies have described the Force. I don't care how awkward the effects look. Guardians of the Galaxy hasn't figured out how to make it look good either. But I have been waiting 8 movies, several games, and 2 TV shows to see Leia use the Force power she was hinted to have since episode 5. I am ecstatic. Number 2. Snoke? Whatever his name is. You're a terrible villain. Like, out of all the masters that have been in this series, you are the worst. You are the worst bad guy. You make Lord Boxman look good. 3. The casino scene went on way too long. Heck, the whole plan ended up being pointless anyway. The only really good thing about it was that we were introduced to Broom Boy and how people in the universe still believe in the Rebels and the legend of Luke Skywalker. But really, that went on way too long. 4. Kind of like the problems in Wonder Woman, there were a lot of weird choices and scenes that would have made more sense very easily with some simple dialogue changes. Like, oh, I didn't tell you about the secret plan because I thought the bad guys had bugged our ship. Or there might be a traitor on board. I mean, that's what I thought when they were following them through hyperspace. 5. Despite all I complain about, what was good about this movie far outweighs the bad, and holy porg on a stick, that last battle scene was badass. Number 6. Rey's parents. Ugh. Okay, I need to get this off my chest. When we find out that the identity of Rey's parents are not important, and they were just drunks that sold their daughter, I was happy. Out of all the theories there were, this was the most satisfying to me. And the one that makes the most sense. It's something the movie has been hinting to. The first movie made such a big deal out of it because finding her parents was Rey's motivation for everything. Staying on the planet, joining the Resistance, finding Luke. But they weren't what was really important. The mirror scene sums up Rey and her parents perfectly. Rey is who she is, as strong as she is, as one with the Force as she is, because of her own choices. Not because of 2 shadows she's been chasing. That's why she sees herself at the end. What's important was for Rey to come to this realization and grow as a character. She doesn't need them. She never did. And now, she has a real family. That, and no matter how you spin it, no matter who you want Rey's parents to be, keep in mind, Rey's parents abandoned their small child on a desert planet with no one to look after her. No matter how you look at it, you cannot justify how much they are complete and utter scumbags. So I'd say let's just count our blessings and be happy she isn't the daughter of a character we like. Next up, comics. Now, there is a lot I could say about Marvel right now, but I won't. Oh, believe me, their time will come. But I did my Twitter rant already. So, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, just Google Bad Comics 2017, and it's pretty much the first things that pop up. The Wicked and the Divine Christmas Special. I'll be honest. When I initially read this, it pissed me off. Now, I'm just kinda meh about it. This comic is neither Christmas nor special. It's just stuff from the cutting room floor that just so happened to take place around October to January. The opening letter in the book also says that these scenes were happy or bittersweet moments for the characters. But it's not. Half of them are not. Especially the one story that reminds us all that Tara eventually committed suicide. So that was either a complete lie, or someone needs to look up bittersweet in the dictionary. Which is really sad because I really like Wicked and Divine. And while I usually enjoy extra tidbits and behind the scenes moments, this kind of felt empty. We didn't really learn anything new. But reading it again, once I was out of the "it's a Christmas special, where is my Christmas" mindset, there were 3 stories I did kind of like. The first 2 would be Hitched and Toxic Community. In both, we get to see pre-god Dionysus and Baphomet become friends, and then pre-god Lucy and Amy becoming friends. Huh. The third story I liked was Summer Love, but again, they are really short, and while Inanna and Baal having a heart-to-heart is really cute, I was a little distracted by the full shot of Baal and Inanna's, which honestly feel like they were shown just for shock value. In the end, it's just okay. If you're a diehard fan that wants the complete collection, go ahead and get it. But do not judge this book by its cover, no matter how pretty it is. I just hope that the 1920s special is better. DC Christmas Special 2017. This one, though. Holy Christmas crackers, Batman. I love this book. Especially after that horrible Wicked Divine special, this got me in the mood for the holidays. A complete flip from the terrible DC Halloween special, which I will say no more about, other than it's terrible. It's really hard not to get into the seasonal spirit while reading the book. It has a really good opening for an anthology of stories. Then we get Black Canary and Green Arrow dressed up in Santa costumes. Flash helps out an airport filled with stuck passengers. Starfire battles the evil ghosts of Christmas past. Batman and Wonder Woman spend Christmas together. Even Swamp Thing and the Atomic Knights get in on the action. Heck, Slade gets a Christmas story. There's also this cute little scene with Constantine I won't spoil. And it ends with a reprint of an older Christmas tale involving Batman, which was pretty awesome. But there's one story in particular that really got to me, called Going Down Easy. It's a World War II story, and I don't think it involves any heroes that we know of. I won't spoil it for you, but this was definitely my favorite story in the book. Till All Are One. I'm bringing up Till All Are One because the final issue came out in December. This was a series I truly enjoyed, but went into thinking I wouldn't. At least not as much as the Lost Light series. I started it thinking I'd get bored of the politics involved, but I didn't. In fact, the politics of the book were some of the most interesting stuff, giving us motives behind each character's actions. Till All Are One didn't just go into the character of Wingblade and the new characters from the newly aligned planets, but actually gave us a really different look at Starscream. It actually made me care about Starscream. And the climax of the story has a lot of psychological horror involved, which is always a plus for me. And, well, I think this is literally the first Transformers comic that I've read in a long time that ended on a positive note, without setting up something more sinister to come on the final page. I'm sad that the book is over, but I'm excited to see what comes next for the creators and the characters from this series. Comics I've read this year, plus new ones to come. Let's see here. All New Wolverine, Runaways, Wonder Woman, and Hawkeye Kate Bishop are the only main series from the top two I'm reading right now. The new Runaway series is proving to be really good, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone who's a fan of the original Runaway series. And you don't need to know what happened between the two stories to get what's going on. Which is great, because I have not read any of the content involving the Runaways in the last several years. Everything else I'm reading from the big two are Elseworld stories like Bombshells, which is still going strong for me, and a newer series called Gotham City Garage, which is looking to be really good. Think DC Comics meets Mad Max with Supergirl at the center. From the other publishers, I'm still reading East of West, Wicked and Divine, Saga, and Lost Light, all of which were starting to feel kind of slow until recently. Seems like all the stories are starting to pick up their pace now. And Lumberjanes is still one of my favorite pick-me-ups as usual. Let's see, what else? I've also catched up on the trades for Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, and Hawkeye and Kate Bishop, and I'm very sad to hear that they've been cancelled now that I finally caught up. Freaking Marvel. I also read the Little Nightmares miniseries, all 3 issues of it, and was sadly disappointed. Not by the stories, but that we only got 3 issues. So far there hasn't been any comics that I've dropped. If anything, I'm looking to expand. And there are 2 comics I just started checking out, with American Vampire taking forever to come out with a new story. I've been itching for something horror on the psychological side. As a friend once described, I like my Silent Hills more than my Resident Evils. And it just so happens that 2 brand new comics just came out that might just be able to scratch the horror itch I've been having. Coyotes, about a little girl in Mexico that's part of a secret society of women that kill werewolves. The content is definitely good and gory, and the action and the art style is really good. I'm really curious to see where this goes. Imaginary Fiends. A dark take on what happens when imaginary friends decide to stick around longer than they should. There's only 2 issues out right now, and already I'm getting the vibe of a surreal detective horror story with some very, very messed up imagery and relationships. Both of these comics have me very intrigued, but they are not for the faint of heart. Webcomics. Alright, so if we went into my full list of webcomics that I like, we'd probably be here until 2019. so I'll just list the ones that just started in 2017 that I've jumped on. Ahem. The Facility, a new horror comic with a lot of gore and body horror from Joe Techsmith, aka Gatto Bob. And... Wait, that's it? Hang on a second. That can't be it, right? What? Hang on. But I started reading a lot of webcomics this year. How to Be a Werewolf, All Night Laundry, Modest Medusa, Irma. Are you seriously telling me that out of all the comics I've started in 2017, only one actually started in 2017? Well, better add that to my New Year's resolution. Video games. Night in the Woods. What can I say that I haven't already said in my Let's Play? This game was really good. I went into it thinking I would be diving right into the creeping horror we see in the trailer. But I was pleasantly surprised that the game had much more to give than just a scary story. It's a story about growing up, accepting change, reconnecting with old friends, with a dash of mental illness, all of which strongly resonate with me. By the time the creeping horror starts creeping in, I saw just how important the first half of the game was. How important it was for us to spend time building relationships and connections in the town. After all, at the end of everything, you need to hold onto anything. And with the game recently updating with more side quests and features, you can bet I'm gonna be playing this again. And I think that's it. Okay, unlike webcomics, this I have a reason for. You see, I have a tendency to wait for games to go on sale before getting them, so I really didn't play many games that came out in 2017. A game really has to grab me by the gut for me to play full price, like Night in the Woods did. I did play the 2 Night in the Woods supplementals. First was Longest Night, a short story about May and her friends stargazing. But I had a lot of fun with the second story, Lost Constellation, a story of an astronomer making her way through a haunted forest that no one ever returns from. It had the right amount of spooky and silly that I've come to expect from Finji. And both games are available on the Night in the Woods website for a pay-your-own price. I also did the first chapter of Bertram Fiddle, which was okay. And I have been replaying some old favorites of mine, like the Blackwell series, Yearwalk, and They Bleed Pixels. But I will say this year has been really great for amazing games that I'm excited to play in the new year. Resident Evil 7, Kathy Rain, Siberia 3, Kindergarten, Hellblade, Hello Neighbor, Tokyo Dark, Sexy Brutale. The list goes on. Not to mention games I've always wanted to play are finally on Steam. Bayonetta, Bioshock Remastered, and Okami. You know, as soon as they work out the bugs first. And guess who got a $20 Steam gift card? Now I just gotta figure out which of the games out of the 178 on my wish list to buy first. And with new games that have already come out, like Rusty Like Paradise, I fully expect 2018 to be pretty awesome. Despite the amount of terrible human beings out there. So that's it for 2017. May it rest in pieces. Now, I'm off to play some more old games, read some new webcomics, and get ready to see The Shape of Water. Remember to like, subscribe, donate, all that jazz, and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye-bye!